Hey there, I'm Andrea from Santa Fe Painting Workshops. Today I'm going to show you how you can use variety to make your paintings better. When we use variety, we create a lot of contrast and visual interest that really engages our viewers. I'm going to show you various ways for how to bring variety into your art pieces. These techniques will not only make your pieces look better, but it'll be more fun for you because you'll be experimenting and trying new things. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we'll do here for our lesson in variety is I'm going to do similar things on each side. On one side, I'm not going to use variety, and the other side, I will use variety. Let's start with some circles and this beautiful blue color. And so we'll just start with maybe a big circle here, and we'll do maybe this little curvy thing here, and then we'll do a little corner here. Okay, so we're straight away here, let's do value, and we're going to use some variety in the shape size because these are all sort of medium-sized shapes. So let's add a little bit of white to our color, and just to be consistent, first, I'll start with a very similar blue circle here. And then I'll just go right into the white paint here. And let's do a shape that is a little smaller here. So we have a little bit of value change, and then I'll make it a little bit darker here. And this one, let's make a lot bigger. We need a little bit of water. So it's similar shape, but it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than the other shapes on the page here. Okay. Let's now bring a different color in, and let's work with different types of marks that we can do. And let's also think about maybe adding some big shapes in the background. Okay, so we're going with this beautiful pink color here. And we will go ahead and just paint in a little bit around this. We have a bit of an idea of a background. And we'll make this a pretty big shape here. Let's just bring it all the way down to this bottom right corner. Let those colors mix a little bit. Okay. Now let's do the same thing over here. Okay, but how we'll change this now is we'll add a little bit more of the value change. So here we have just like a flat pink. Here, let's add some white into this pink and create a little bit of lightness up here at the top. Okay, so we have different values going on here. And this time we're going to vary our tools. So I'll just use, this is a very similar brush, it's just bigger. So we're going to keep to the brush on this side. And then on this side, let's use a sponge. So we'll wet our sponge a little bit and dab it in. And we'll just sponge into this area instead of using the brush. And I'll try to get the same kind of coverage, and pretty much I covered all the white over here for the most part, and so we'll do the same thing. Okay, let's try a different tool on this side. Let's go ahead and put this in here. Okay, we need a little bit more. This is similar to a catalyst wedge. This is just a putty spreader. And I love these. I use these a lot. You do need a bit of paint though. And then on this side, we'll just use the paint to do that same kind of mark. Now we have a lot of the background covered. Let's add a little bit of black for pop here. I'm gonna use this black brush, and let's just maybe create a line here with one brush stroke. And here I'm going to vary my brush stroke by going like this instead. Okay, so a little bit of a scribble. And let's do that somewhere else. Let's go ahead and outline this part. That's a little bit more of a dry brush stroke. And then watch how fast. Okay, it's a little bit more of a gesture, just to make it a little bit even. Let's go over the blue. Actually, let's go over the pink a little bit here with this brush, and we'll kind of go around and maybe blend it out a little bit. Instead of using a brush on this side, let's use a palette knife instead. So same idea, different tool. This is called scumbling, when you're very lightly applying pressure and you're wanting to show what's under, and it's kind of the equivalent. Whoops, that was a little mistake there. I like it, but didn't mean to do that. Let's get a little bit of that on this side just to keep it even. Okay, so a little bit of scumbling there. And let's try to thin out this brush mark a little bit by using like a little bit of the pink. So we'll just go right next to it and let it do a little blend there. And then I have to go fast on this one. Oops, a little bit more paint. Okay, so we'll do a fast gesture on that one. Now let's try some different patterns. So maybe let's add a little bit of a pattern in, let's see, this section here would be good. On this side, we'll just add some of this blue back in, and let's just do some dots with the brush. Just dabbing the brush here, getting a little bit of visual texture. I'll go up the whole edge. Maybe I'll fill that in. Okay, on this side, instead of the brush, let's use a sponge again. So I'm going to use this part here. And we'll try to be consistent and just going between these two areas and filling in a little bit here. Now let's get some more black in. So let's outline this black circle just with the brush. And on this side, let's try my 9B water soluble Lyra crayon, and let's just kind of scribble. And I like how that looks, so I'm going to add that somewhere else. Let's do little scribbles here, some different marks. But on this side, remember, we're not varying. I'm not going to vary my brush stroke. I'm just going to keep it a little bit clean and neat and consistent. And so that would be, right, like this kind of thing perhaps. Now let's add some texture in, and also sheen. So let's use matte medium on this side to make something a little bit more matte. So first we'll do the matte medium here. Try to get a similar value to what I have already. Get a little bit lighter. And this, we're not going to change the sheen. I'll leave that as it is. Here, we're just changing the sheen. So let's add that in with the sheen change. And you won't be able to see this until it's dry. I don't want to get rid of that nice texture, so I'm just going to go sort of to the edge like this and leave that edge kind of rough. Now let's do some gloss medium. We'll do the pink with some gloss medium. Once again, we are going to only do it on one side. So let's do the pink by itself on the left. Okay, so we're just bringing this part back in again. Letting that kind of like mixing up over that. It almost looks like purple with the pink over the black there. And then on the other side there, we're going to do a very similar thing, but we're going to add gloss medium. About 50-50-ish is what I usually do when I'm doing gloss medium. Now it's going to look a little lighter at first, but it will dry to the same color, as long as you don't put too much medium in. Okay, so again, we're not going to see that difference until the end when it's dry. Let's do more texture. So we'll keep this without texture, and we're going to vary this one by adding texture to it. And this time I'm going to use Liquitex's ceramic stucco. Always use a clean palette knife when you're using the textures. Again, about 50-50. You can probably hear that texture. Now, I don't usually apply textures with a brush because it kind of gets lost. I'm just going to go ahead and use the palette knife to put this in. So it's the same color as this side. The only difference here is that we have a different texture. One quick thing here, I want to tell you about a great guide I have that I think you're going to love. So today you saw I used a couple of painting mediums. And if you want to learn more about painting mediums and my 5 favorites, check out the free PDF guide and video tutorial that I have linked below. You are going to love this lesson. It's going to be a game changer in terms of adding variety of texture into your artwork. Every single painting that I have made for the past 15 years, I have used one or more of those painting mediums. I kid you not. They are part of my painting toolbox, and I don't know what I would do without them. So it's totally free, so go ahead and check that out. And let's use this brush to make this idea of just some lines here. And I'm making them kind of relatively the same width. And then here, let's go really small at first. And let's go a lot bigger, let's vary it, and then let's go small again. So we've got this variety in our sort of brush mark and how long each brush mark is. Now let's add some pink up here. We'll spray a bit of water on the paper just on the right side, and this side we're not going to spray. So we'll do this side first. And let me just fill it in like this. But this side, remember we have the spray on this side, and I'll even add more water. Okay, let's add some of the blue in here. Now that's the blue texture, so let's go ahead and just use a brush. On this side, instead of using just the brush, let's go ahead and scumble that in. Okay, I'm feeling like adding some more line over here. And then perhaps we'll put some in here. Some variety within the shape. But on this side, we'll just use the brush. So I'll just try to create the same idea here with the brush. I find wet brush works better when we're trying to do like gestural scribbles like that. And then we'll do the same idea, this little contour line thing here. Let's mix some of the colors together. Let's add a bit of this pink to this blue. Just get one other color here. It's got like a purplish color. And then let's add some dots, and we'll try to keep these dots on this side the same size, relatively speaking. This side, I'll let myself do different size dots. And actually the dabbing is working well. So if I push really hard, I can get some bigger dots. And let's get a little smaller here as we go down. Varying the size of your shapes is going to give a sense of three-dimensionality. I like this color. Let's take it here a little bit. That's really nice against that yellow. I've been a little too much there. And on this side, I'll just do like really quick gestures. Now this paint was thicker, and so it's wetter, and so we're getting a different effect here. So it's not, this part is not totally fair. It really changed things up. We're gonna use the pink to come back in here. And let's just go like this, press. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on this side just to make it kind of even. I think we should put some, maybe some yellow lines in here. Let's go with a lighter yellow. Let's actually make a bit of a turquoise, just using a little bit of this blue. A bit more of the blue right here. So on this side, I'll use my palette knife to make some lines. And this side, we'll use the brush. We're going to make a lighter version of the pink. I'm going to pop this line a little bit. I want to add more of this green color. I think it's really nice. And we'll just kind of go here. And instead of using a brush, we'll use a brayer on this side. Just make this even. This side has more. Let's get bold with this black and kind of make a bigger shape, feeling like the black needs to come there. So let's do this. Nice big bold black shape here, and we'll vary it on this side by using a palette knife. And a bit of texture, I suppose. This part kind of got a little messed up, so we're going to redo that. And we're just going to do pink in this spot. And then we'll go a little bit more of a watery pink in this spot. This side, we'll do some pink dots. This side, we're gonna pink splatter. And so I'm wetting my brush a lot, wetting the paint. Want it really watery. Okay, so pink splatter. Let's try to create, just to be fair, a bigger mark here. And then we'll go smaller marks up here, just like it's splattered out a little bit. So I think we'll stop here. Let's really look at the difference between the two. So let's take a look at these two pieces side by side first, and then we'll look at them individually. So we have the same pretty much design and the same color scheme, right? But we have a big difference between the two. So if we just individually look at this one, notice that we have a decent composition. It's not a finished painting. It's not a great painting. But the issue here is that a lot of these marks are pretty similar. We've got a little bit of variety with this, but a lot of the marks are like the same size. There's no difference in the sheen. There's not much difference in texture besides this little area here. And so there is variety. I mean, there's a lot of different colors and there are different marks. But if we take this same painting and then we say, let's add more variety to it, then we get this one. Even though it's not the most amazing painting, it's not totally finished, it's not gallery worthy, right? However, it's a lot more interesting. And so we have this really thick texture here, and it's actually matte because the medium makes it look a little bit more matte. But what I love is like these different scribbles. Look how this line is skinny and then it gets thicker and it's really scribbly, and how rough, we have these lines here, the splatter, this little contour line situation, this nice thick black area. And I love the scumbling between these different colors. Look how engaging that is. This painting makes me want to look a little more and like really explore some of these little beautiful nuances. Well, this painting I just find pretty boring. It's just not as interesting. It's not as engaging. It's kind of like expected lines, expected marks. Whereas here, there's a little bit of the unexpected that's going on. And it's because in this piece, I varied things, right? So we've got a much lighter value of blue here. These values are all the same. So it's much lighter here, it's lighter there, it's darker here. That helps create depth, right? And then the pink, we have this sort of purpley pink color that goes light to dark, again, creating depth and really kind of just a more interesting area where the pink is pretty flat here. This yellow around the blue, we scumbled it, made it a lot more interesting. It's just, paintbrush around this area. I use the brayer to create these beautiful little marks here. Palette knives to create some scumbling as well, right? I use the sponge in some of this area. See, like just this area alone is so much more interesting than this area if you just look at this area. And also just looking at this part, the scumbling is just beautiful and dynamic and interesting, and you can't control it as much. And this is just like, oh, okay, boring brushstroke. So when you start to really hone in on the different areas, you can really see the difference between how wonderful it is when we vary our shape sizes, our line sizes, our colors, our values, our textures. This piece has all of that. This piece has a bit of that. There's some variety in the colors, and there's some variety in some of the shape sizes and things like that. But this is a whole nother level. What I want to leave you with today is this. When you change up your sizes, your shapes, your brush marks, your mediums, your sheens, your textures, you really create a dynamic painting that pulls the viewer in, that makes them want to look and explore and understand what it is that you did, how you did it, why you did it. Whereas when we do really expected marks that are all the same, it's just less engaging for the viewer. So with your next painting, what I want to encourage you to do is try to vary, really consciously pick 2 or 3 things on that list. And the list will be down in the description, by the way. So pick 2 or 3 things and then be sure to vary them as much as you can in your painting and just see what happens. Let me know how it turns out in the comments below. And also let me know if you know of other ways or if you've tried other ways to vary things in your artworks. Love to hear about that in the comment box. Also, please subscribe and like and share this video if you found it useful. It really helps other people get to see my teaching if you do those 3 things. All right, well, thanks so much for watching and take care.